Mark your calendars for an extraordinary day of unity and spiritual elevation. Congregation Beit D.C.B invites you to the annual Unity Shabbat Kum on Saturday, May 24th, 2025. Where? At Shelf Lofts, Brooklyn, 120 Hamilton Avenue, Brooklyn, New York, 11231. This day is dedicated to praising and glorifying the Most High Yah, bringing together congregations, guests, and truth seekers in a celebration of unity, love, peace, and harmony. Join us for heartfelt prayers, inspiring teachings, and uplifting music that will resonate with your soul. Be part of this transformative experience that strengthens our community bonds and deepens our spiritual connections. For more information and to reserve your spot, call us at 347-622-9090 or email us at info@baitdcb.org. Let's come together in faith and fellowship at the Unity Shabbat Kum. You won't want to miss it. Shalom.
By the rivers of Babylon, yeah, we sat down and we cried when we remembered Jerusalem. We were sick, Lord, near to dying.
Shalom, shalom, family. Welcome to another Tanakh review. My name is Zurishaddai, one of the teachers of Congregation BINAH, CHOKMAH, located in the Red Hook section of Brooklyn, New York. Giving all honor, glory, and praise to the Most High, King of the universe, for life, food, clothing, and shelter, wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. I'm happy to be here once again. Wishing everybody a early Shabbat Shalom, and also everybody a happy New Year within the standards of what the Most High, the parameters that the Most High told us when we left the land of Egypt, that Abib should be the beginning of the month. So Shana Tova to all out there who celebrate and keep it during this time. And I pray that the Most High God will bring you a prosperous new year, and that all the desires and the endeavors of your mind that you desire will be granted to you in righteousness. Also giving due respect to the leader, teacher, and leader, teacher of our congregation, even Chief Prince Jeriel Ben Yissaschar, praying that the Most High God be with him, asking the Most High God be with Chief Kohath and all of our elders, Imam Muna, Imam Olive, that the Most High God will strengthen them and keep them all well. Also, Imam Yakoli and all of the people who support us, all of you online who continuously support us. We pray that the Creator of heaven and earth will continue to bless you, keep you, and continue to elevate each and every one of you. So, as I said, early Shabbat Shalom to everyone. As this show is pre-recorded, we are going to go over the portion of Pekudei, and for that, I will call up none other than one of my teachers and my mentors, even Nasik Zurishaddai ben Yehudah. How are you, Nasik?
All right, great, Baruch Hashem. First of all, I'd like to give praises to the Supreme Intelligence of the universe, God of my forefathers, God of Abraham, God of Isaac, God of Jacob. Due respects to the platform on the D.C.B channel platform, spiritual leader, Chief Prince Ariel Ben Saska, to the host, Chief Uzael, to the Prince Chief, Kohanim, Rabbinate, Maureen, brothers and sisters, and visitors to the channel. I greet you in the time of forefathers, Shalom Aleichem, and early Shabbat Shalom. And I'd like to start over. Adonai Sabtai Takupia Gichi Datheaka. O Lord, open down my lips, and my mouth should declare that praise. Last week I said we just want to touch on a couple of things. I left a number out there, 16 from the word a day, and we was talking about how earlier in the particular portion of YAH about how. Oh, before I start off, I'd like to also share this information to be remiss. It's unrelated to the subject matter, but it's a topic, something that's interesting. I don't know who might ever watch this program or whatever thing, be out there who might watch it, but my condolences go out to an individual who's not part of the Israelite community, but he's also, a prominent descendant of an individual. His name is Rabbi Eliezer ben Yehudah. I met the man, quite a few times down here in Florida at the congregation at Jacksonville Jewish Center. And matter of fact, he was the first one to introduce himself to me because we had similar last name. And he's actually the grandson. The reason I'm bringing this up because he's grandson of the Rabbi Eliezer ben Yehudah, who actually revitalized the Hebrew language in the state of Israel. When everybody wanted to use Yiddish as the language for the state of Israel, he fought hard, tooth and nail, to try to make Hebrew being the spoken language for the state of Israel. And he wasn't received too well, but he got it accomplished. Where that a lot of the groups didn't want to use Hebrew because it wasn't spoken, they felt more comfortable in Yiddish, and that's what they was doing at that time. So his grandson, who's named after him, and most of us have that book called the Hebrew Dictionary, a modern Hebrew dictionary by Ehud, who happened to be the late father of this guy, Rabbi ben Yehudah, who's the grandson of the original Ben Yehudah. So the original guy, Rabbi Ben Yehudah, is Eliezer ben Yehudah, is actually the one that instituted Hebrew to be a spoken language in Israel. The grandson, along with somebody else, wrote a dictionary to try to help further his father's work. And the grandson, who I happen to know personally, he's actually wrote about his father, and he just had passed on this Hakodesh Shabbat, the Shabbat. So my condolences go out for his family. May his good work speak louder than anything he might have done wrong in life. Made his family find comfort amongst all the other mourners in Zion. So that being said, I want to share that information because I happen to know him personally in the family as well. And it was a good contribution.
Who passed, Prince? Was it the
grandson, which is Rabbi Eliezer ben Yehudah?
He passed.
He had the same name as his grandfather.
All right, so the grandson passed. All right, got you.
Yeah. He's in he lived a full life. He's up in upper 80s, I believe, something like that, close to 90.
Gotcha.
And his father named Ehud. So most of them got their first Hebrew dictionary, little small pocket dictionary. That's by his father.
The Ben Yehudah.
Yeah. That's his father that wrote that one.
I might have one on my shelf right now that I might grab just to show.
Most all Israelites have it because that's usually the first one we grab coming up.
Right.
So and according to the sages, and you mourn even mourn a Gentile. I'm not saying he's a Gentile, but you even mourn a Gentile for the sake of peace. And he did a good contribution because we all struggling to try to get the language back, and he modernized it and revitalized the language when it was almost about ready to just leave it where you just read it in the synagogue and that's it. And some communities still do it to this very day in Brooklyn and in Williamsburg, where they're only going to read the text, but they never speak Hebrew, unless they go in the land of Israel where you have to, like that. So it's, just for the legacy and accomplishment that his father contribute that we all benefit from, I wanted to make mention of that note. And like I said, I knew the man personally. He the first one I actually met personally down here, from that center. And that's because we share the same name. So with that being said, now go back to Pekudei, the Sidra itself, reviewing in the scriptures. Pekudei. Pekudei, we would just finish, went through 4 unique Shabbats with, extra names, First Shabbat, Shekolim, then Shabbat, Zakor, then Shabbat, Parah, and then Shabbat HaKodesh. Shabbat HaKodesh is actually the last Shabbat in the month of Adar before you go into the month of of the first month of Aviv. So it's like making preparation for the Pesach year. And as Chief Uziel had mentioned earlier, that it's the beginning of our ecclesiastical year, in a sense that that this would be a beginning of a year for us. So we normally count our ecclesiastical year from the month of Aviv, but when we do the sabbatical year, we count it from what they call the 7th month. So which is month Ethani, or some people commonly call it Tishri. So and this is where the last start is, because that's a birth as a nation. And one of the first laws that's given to us, because as I mentioned in the past, what a slave doesn't have time on his own. His time is what the master designated, which is the master's time. So in order for people to be free, you got to have time that you can control and designate. And hence, it leaves a whole lot of other areas too, and let you know that we adjust and set our calendar. So I'm not going to go into too much of that, because so much controversies in that area, but it lets you know that we define when the Rosh Chodesh, starts, and when the month starts, when the month, the Creator just said what Shalosh Regalim that we supposed to observe, which is the pilgrimage time we should observe, and what season they should fall into. All right, so those things, for another topic, but basically that's one of the things about recognizing time, having time on your hand. Now, we spent 5 sidros, or 5 different sections. Some people might say parshios, but 5 different sections in Exodus, basically dealing with the Mishkan, So, and you say, well, besides the little things, so you're talking about, it's 15 chapters in all as the book is broken down, but you actually have, a chapter and a half or 2 chapters dealing with the sin of the golden calf. So when we look at this area there, first thing you got to say is, why so much time spent on making a place for the Creator down here on earth, knowing physically he's not going to they're not going to house him, and it was not physically where he said he's going to actually dwell. So those are some things, and yet we have so much details. But when we deal with the creation of the heavens and earth in the book of Genesis, we're only talking about 20 some odd verses, and then and after that, the whole world's is here. So that's one thing to consider as we're going forward. But as I started saying, I mentioned about 16, number 16, and dealing with polls and stuff like that. And I said, maybe you figure it out, but the 16 could allude to. And I was talking about why that when we read the sin of the golden calf, and that was a few weeks back when we mentioned about the sin of the golden calf, and you have the aliyos when people appear and go up to the read Torah, that the first and the second are really long. I think I wrote it down over here. Let me see. All right. Like when we come down to the first aliyah for on that particular portion on Ki Chesah, you had 45 verses. The first reader read, and then on the second reader read 47, and then it drops down. 5, 7, 9, and 17 and 9. So, and I mentioned last time that normally the tradition is the actual Levites actually come up and read that. The Kohen first, he reads, and then the Levites cover the whole section of the sin of the golden calf because they had no part in it. And I was elaborating about how it relates to the poles and the number 16. Well, during a Shabbat week, we pull out the Torah at the minimum on a regular week, at the minimum of 4 times on a regular week. So that means you have the Torah come out. Let's start from the beginning of the week. On a Monday, the second day of the week. On the second day of the week, you bring out the Torah. On a 5th day of the week, you bring out the Torah. And on the 7th day of the week, you bring out the Torah. So there's 3 days that you bring out the Torah within the week. But when you have the readers to come up, normally a Kohen and a Levite come up on the second day and on the 5th day. They come up every day, but basically they're the first 2 to come up every day. But you have a total on a regular week, 3 people come up on what we call Monday. You have 3 readers come up. On Thursdays, you have 3 readers come up, and on Shabbat you have 7 readers, and then on Mincha service you bring out a Torah again, so you'll have another 3. So you figure 3 is 6, plus 7 plus another 3, that add up to 16. So at the minimum, you have 3 people reading Torah. At the minimum, if you say those that follow a minion practice, but what's considered a minion, you have 16 people at the minimum reading Torah, every week. Now, when Rosh Chodesh, you have more. And yet, Cholamei, you have more, which means those intermediate days in between. And then, but normally at the minimum 16. So, and I was sharing that information there. But, and the reason I'm sharing it too, because the conversation came out later with somebody that, seen and asked me about that same question. So now, when we look at YAH, we know that, Moses had assembled the people already. Just to recap, he assembled all the people already after he came back with the second set of tablets. And when he assembled them, the first day he seen him with the tablets, his face shine. Next day, I said that after that, he will assemble them to share the information about building the Mishkan, all right, the tabernacle. Now, what we find as we go forward is that, when you had the chief architect, and then you had, the assistant associate architect, and then you had a lot of people participating, and you had a lot of, women participating as well, and and some of the intricate works that the women dealt with, and also certain donations that the women's made that was really unique. When they talk about, they bring the mirrors, which is basically brass, brass that shine. That's some of the things he brought. And it's an interesting story about the brass, and they found that they made the utensils, the wash basins, or vessels out of it, because it's, that's basically one of the vessels they use when assault a woman that's accused of being unfaithful. She would have to drink out of one of those vessels there that was presented by women. But that's another story. But I just want to share that point there. And when we go into this particular portion here, now they made it, all the stuff for the tabernacle. All right. And they presented all the stuff that was there. All right. And then now we go into the thing of Pekudei. The word Pekudei Pekudei as well, someone might say, means accounting, like an accounting work. So now what you have is a first audit. And I'm going to start in the beginning of it starts from the 38th chapter, 21st verse. And it says, these are the accounts of the tabernacle, even the tabernacle of testimony, as they were rendered according to the commandments of Moses through the service of the Levites by the hand of Ithamar, the son of Aharon, the priest. All right. And Bezalel, the son of Uri, the son of Hur of the tribe of Yehudah, made all that the Lord commanded Moses. And with him was Aholiab, the son of Achisamach of the tribe of Dan, a craftsman and skillful workman, and a weaver in colors, in blue and in purple and in scarlet and fine linen. And it goes on, gives down these guys' skills. It talks more about, Aholiab more so than Bezalel at first, because he's from a larger tribe, a more dominant tribe. So, and then, let's just say, when a guy, they're not make him feel less, because he's equally qualified, because they both fulfill with it, just that Bezalel was called first. So he was over, and he had more of the technical, one of the most jobs of dealing with the ark itself, where he actually built the ark himself. But both of them equally skilled, filled with the wisdom of the Creator. And they had other people they was able to teach, and they had other people that was endowed with wisdom in itself. One of the things that's interesting here is that we find a new term here, and it's called Mishkan Adu. Right now, Mishkan Adu, which is testimonies. We don't. That's the first time we hear this term used for the actual tabernacle. It wasn't called that before. So, and there's always a question about why now they called the Mishkan Adu. Wasn't the Luke the tablets that Moses brought down? It was called Luke Adu. So they was actually testimonies, the tablets of testimonies, and then sometimes they called it, part of the covenant, the covenant that was made. But why now they refer to the tabernacle as Mishkan Adu, when prior they never ever, used that term before? And it's various opinions. I'll just to share some. You can always further discuss it, which one, or both that you might, decide to take. But you go further discuss it, because we should be, aware of those things that just jump out at us right away. And that they just got the, the actual, forgiven for the sin of the golden calf. All right. So now we had tablets issued before, but we never received them directly to us. And of course, they made this golden calf. Now they got a second tablet. So is it, and without sharing the views of who would it come from or whatever, is it before? Because now that is a testimony that God had forgiven them. The Mishkan itself is a testimony that we built it. It's not assembled yet. In the beginning of Pekudei, all this is made and placed before Moses to inspect, but it's not yet assembled. In itself, it was the people that was assembled to get the orders to come back and produce this the work the material. So now, and we get the Pekudei. And it's called, the Mishkan Adu, even before it's even set up, in a sense. Then is it because it's going to house the tablets? And then and yet the tablets was mentioned in the very beginning to be put in the our own Kodesh, the Holy Ark. All right. And so it was told to be put there, even though that's going to go inside the Mishkan. So is it addressing the tablets itself, or is it addressing, that God had forgiven them, or is it addressing that God is now actually going to be dwelling amongst them, within them? So those are some of the viewpoints. Some of the things that you could discuss with your teachers, but it's something worthwhile why this term is used. And we know that it was used for the tablets, and now it's used for the Mishkan. So which one is it? And then how could it be both? Because one is all produced by people, and the other one is a combination of people and the Creator, which was the tablets itself, the Lukot. So those are some of the things going forward. And then now, when we talk about an audit, the Creator never commanded an audit to be given and concerning the Mishkan. This was what Moses had commanded to be under the hands of Ithamar, who was over the Levites. And he said, well, what was Eleazar's job, being he's older than his brother Ithamar? And we know later on he become the priest as his seed, his father, the Hakohen. But it was Ithamar's job, and we're gonna find out now, and this is pretty much taking place before a lot of events. So we got to also look at chronological order in scriptures, because now we got who gonna be action, or the clothes gonna be made for, that's referred to in the scriptures, and for Aaron and his 4 sons. So we already got that information, but was it just to start things off and necessary, keep everybody out and just they alone gonna be doing that forever? Or would it be somebody else be able to step in that place? So, and I'm setting the stage because if issues come up later on, then you got to say, well, what we've seen in the beginning and how we understood things in the beginning from what was conveyed to us. See, a person might say something one way, and it might be, received in a different manner, and then people perceive it to be through their own understanding. And that's why sometimes it had to, Moses was told not only to teach Torah, but also cause them to understand it. So, and that's pretty much where all the various teachers, the various congregations, rabbis, whatever you might call them, for instance, like in the background I come from, or chiefs, and Maureen, which the teachers itself using the titles, Kohanim, they are supposed to elaborate and cause you to understand those different, thorough understanding of what a precept might mean. So, and so I'm bringing this out at this particular point in time to show that this is something Moses did on his own, and to be transparent. Now, and like I said, it's the first audit. You had the first building fund, and now you got the first audit that the man asked for him to be audited, because everybody was bringing this stuff to him. So by proxy, they're not auditing the community. Like in some organizations, you ordered, say if it's, D.C.B, Shema, or Beit Shalom, or, whatever congregation you're from, or if you don't, they say, well, we're going to have an audit. All right. That is, the organization as a whole, is being audited. And it's usually audited by, sometimes they might recommend it from within, or sometimes the government or the powers to be might say, I need to audit your place to see what you're doing. Here, Moses said, I need you to audit what I got. Now, the workers already said that they had more than enough for the work. So they showed the integrity already about how much was brought in. So they already, it shared their integrity by saying we got more than enough because you told me what this is going to be used for. I know how much cloth. I know how much wood. I know how much gold. I know how much silver. So I know how much brass because now I know what you told me to make, and I know basically certain things that got size and dimension. It's described there. Only thing that doesn't have a size and dimension is the menorah itself. So just bear that in mind. And so now they showed their integrity, but now after all the stuff is there, was all the stuff used or was there a surplus? So Moses now, then they might think I shortchanged it, or I cut corners, but yet this is for the Creator, and I stopped them too late because if we say we got more than enough, then you got to say, okay, I had to constrain the people not to bring any more. So if I'm constraining the people not to bring any more because we have more than enough, then could be possibly it's a surplus. That's it, to stop now after I got the surplus. And what's the surplus actually used? So these are some things that could go in people's minds, going forward. So now I need to make some transparency. So I'm drawing a scenario why the transparency would be necessary, because at this time, I told you I got more than enough. Okay, don't bring any more. But did I say I gave you back what was over and beyond? So these are some things that would make you understand more about the accounting and the audit that's being going on in this area. And then some people and I'm just with those that might not understand about an audit as opposed to, say, accounting and bookkeeping, regular bookkeeping. Regular bookkeeping, some come in, you keep a bank account, you say this or the organization treasury report. A treasury report to say this came in, that came out. We got this much money in, we had this many bills, we have revenue, expense, and miscellaneous and all that. An audit is saying, okay, the money that came in, who brought that money in? What the check number is. And did this check number match what it was spent on? What check the number used? Those are different orders, and what was the item that was, brought with that check number? So an audit is a lot different than, say, a treasury report. So most people would think of a treasury report as opposed, and say, all right, I got a treasury report. But no, what you have here is an audit because he's telling you what came in and what it was used for. And there it is, right here, present accounted for. So this is one of the things that we talk about in the audit. And when we look at also some interesting things that's brought out and in this particular portion here is that it gives you the numbers, which I'm not going to go through all that right now, and it focus on the garments that was made, in the 39th chapter. All right, it talks about the garments that was made, and it says, as the Lord commanded Moses, that was done. And then it goes on and tell you about, the intricate stuff in the garments, and then the jewels for the ephod. Now, what's interesting, I want to bring out in reference to the jewels, and I'm going to the 39th chapter, around the 6th verse. And they wrought the onyx stone. All right, they wrought the onyx stones and clothes and settings in gold, and graven with the engravings of a signet, according to the names of the children of Israel. And he put them on the shoulder pieces of the ephod to be stones of memorial for the children of Israel, as the Lord commanded Moses. Now, we know that the onyx stones and also one of them actually representing Yosef. You know what I mean? The Hosham, which is the word for onyx stone that's used in the scriptures. Most people would say not only that, the reason that stone was chosen for Yosef, just by going by a particular tradition, is that because the word Hosham, is actually the same word for Hosham, is actually the same word for Hashem, which is the name, and God was with Yosef. And also you got like a double blessing, blessing the firstborn from his father. So now when the names are going 6 on one side, 6 on the other side, what's interesting is that if we count the letters of the names, it should be, normally it would be 25 and 24, counting 6 tribes, their names, each letter, and 25, and 6 tribes, and the names with on the other side, according to their birth. But what's interesting is that Binyamin name is sometimes spelled without one of the letters, which is the letter Yod. All right, so the Kohen, when he had to write the names, it should be balanced on both shoulders. It should be equal on both shoulders. So with Binyamin, his name would have to be written, when you say according to his birth, it had to be according to his birth as when it comes down, when you read it in Genesis, when Yaakov named him Binyamin, it's written with a Yod. So a lot of times you might find it without the Yod there. And that way you have 25 letters on one shoulder and 25 letters on the other shoulder, with the 6 tribes each on the Kohen's shoulders. So that would be our balance there. Also, it's when it comes down to the stones, like I said, it's according to the birth. Some would say according to the, as it was actually born, and others would say actually according to their significance about the moms and the handmaids, which I would go by according to as they was born. But those are some views that's out there. All right, so I want to share that information, and then it goes on in the 8th verse. It says, and the stones are supposed to be that important for a memorial. So, do God actually forget? The Creator doesn't forget. So, so that that's something to consider. But it's actually for the Kohen to recognize who he's actually working for. See, a lot of people, unlike, say, the Catholic religion, where the Pope is actually working for God, so therefore he represents God on earth. The Kohen works on behalf of the people, and he presents the people to the Creator. So he's sanctified to be able to come into the presence of the Creator, but he don't represent the Creator. He represents the people. The Pope represent, their God, which is a big difference. So the thing is that remember who you actually represent. So it keeps him somewhat humble, though he's esteemed amongst the people. He's still part of the people. And this is one of the things, and this is on your shoulders. So, when you're on your shoulders, you're not above them. They with you all the time. So in the 8th verse of the 39th chapter, and you made the breastplate, the works of skillful workmen, like the work of ephod of gold, and it goes in to describe all that and tell you what's all in the breastplate. And then in the 22nd verse of the same chapter, I tell you Bezalel made the robe of the ephod. And then in the 27th verse, the same chapter, it talks about clothes for Aaron and his sons. All right. And then they talk about, place for the Holy Crown. Now, the 30th verse of the 39th chapter says, and they made the place of the Holy Crown of pure gold and wrote upon it a writing, like the engraving of a signet, holy to the Lord. And they tied unto it a thread of blue to fasten it upon the mitre above, as the Lord commanded Moses. So, to be sanctified to the Creator, this is the first time you had that term. Like I said earlier, they talk about zitz. Before we're told to put fringes on the corners of our garments, he was told about the zitz upon it. One thing about the I neglect that, went over it anyway, that we know on the hems of his garment, he had a bell and a pomegranate, and that's the to let the Creator know he's coming in. Now, one of the things when you think about that is it something the Creator don't know? I heard a famous preacher one time made this statement. I'm not gonna call the preacher's name, but he's well known. And it was dealing with the book of Genesis. And in the book of Genesis, he made the statement, when Abraham went to sacrifice Isaac at the Akita, the binding. So that it said, an angel called out and told him not to touch the lad, and then it said, and it said, now I know. So now he said that it's some things the Creator don't know. But yet it was the angel that called out. The Creator know the end of a thing. We don't know the end of a thing. The Creator, don't have to use falsehood and exaggerations. That's man's invention. The Creator never invented falsehood or exaggeration, because what he said is done. The Creator don't have to think like we think. Though, when you say my thoughts are not my thoughts, that's just for us to understand that we don't want to think, because we're subject to make a mistake. We're subject to plan things and say what's contingency and this and that and the other. The Creator just do. But we can't conceive of it just doing, so we just consider it a thought. And he said, my thoughts are not like your thoughts. Because we come up with a plan. The Creator make a demand. He says it and it's done. So when this preacher said that it's some things that the Creator don't know, he didn't read the text really well, and yet he had the text, right there, when he was speaking. Very a mega preacher at that. So sometimes it's always good, not like I always tell people, just take what I say. I'm just sharing certain viewpoints. So I'm not trying to change your point of view. I'm just sharing other points of view, in that sense. So, but one of the things you got to read for yourself, you got to read, and hopefully you come to some understanding. And, you got to check with other people. You just can't read it and figure, all right, I can figure this out myself. Check it and see if you figure it out correctly. And the only way you could check it is through other sources, other people. And this is one of the things that we have a problem with these days. That's why you have so much different discussions and opinions, because some things, people just would lean to their own understanding on. All right, so when we're getting to the, let me see, let's skip on down. So the zitz of the crown, he had that on his head, gold plated. When I gold plated, but when it's gold and it's tied up on his head underneath a turban. We don't know what style the turban was that it could wrap. It could be, if it wrapped it like me, or he wrap it, going up spiral, or just a plain round wrap, whatever the case is. But whatever the turban he had on his head, he had to have that band there, and we know what that's supposed to be. And how is style, whether it's styled like a crown, whether it's just a rectangular piece with some engraving on it, because it don't focus on, that it had to look like a crown with the edges, wavy edges and stuff like that. So, but we know what had to be written upon it, and that's what's important, and what it's supposed to be made out of. So now, as we go to the 32nd verse of that 39th chapter, it says, "Thus was all the work of the tabernacle, the tent of meeting, and the children of Israel." Thus was finished. Excuse me. Thus was finished all the work of the tabernacle of the tent of meeting, and the children of Israel did according to all that the Lord commanded Moses. So did they. All right. So that means right in there, it was finished. But it doesn't say assembled yet. And they brought the tabernacle unto Moses, the tent and all its furniture, its clasps, its boards, and its bars, and its pillars, and its sockets, and the coverings of the ram skin, etc. All right, going down here, and then I'm gonna skip down to the 35th verse. Yeah, it says the ark of the testimony. All right. So at the ark of the testimony, was the tent. All right. So around do stays thereof, and the ark cover, and the tables, all the vessels thereof, and the showbread, the pure candlesticks, the lamps thereof, even the lamps to be set in order, and all the vessels thereof, and the oil for the light, and the golden altar, and the anointing oil, and the sweet incense, and the screen for the door of the tent, the brazen altar, and its gratings of brass, the staves, and all its vessels, the laver and its base, the hangings of the court, its pillars, and its sockets, and the screens for the gate of the court, and the cords thereof, and the pins thereof, and all the instruments of the service of the tabernacle of the tent of meeting, the plaited garments for ministering, and in the holy place, the holy garments for Aaron, the priest, and the garments for his sons to minister in the priest's office, according to all the Lord commanded Moses. So the children of Israel did all the work, and Moses saw all the work, and behold, they had done it as the Lord had commanded. Even so had they done it, and Moses blessed them. Now, I want to focus on that last verse there. So Moses, then the place, the tabernacle, not assembled. The work is completed. All the beams are cut. The curtain is made. The sockets is ready. But Moses not only doing an audit here, and the people could see it. And what's interesting is that this is one of the rare times throughout this whole saga that the people going to see the interior before it's erected. Only time that you're going to see it. That means even when they move, which we're going to talk about later on, even when they move about and travel about, you're going to find that the section of the Levites, the Kohathites, that carry the Ark of the Covenant, it had to be covered before they even, pick it up and carry it. That means that they don't get a chance to look and see, is the gold still there? I can feel it, but really, can I see the gold? Can I see the cherubims? Did anybody took off a piece of it, anything, or did any piece wore out? No. This is the only time. So this would make the audit so transparent, is that people that are never going to ever get inside the Mishkan itself, women, can never come up in there. They get to see not only their works, but they see it before it's assembled. And Moses is able to lay out and saying, this is where this went, this is where that went. So now that's transparency in the highest level, you know. And one of the greatest things that we could think about in Pekudei is that we got a chance to see things that we won't get a chance to see no time no more in the future. And then you know, and once the tabernacle is erected, the Kohen Hagadol, right, the high priest, once the tabernacle is erected, he would never ever, that we know of, be able to see those tablets inside the ark, because that's not part of his job. When he go in there once a year, as we can read later on in the book of Yehudah, that when he go in once a year, his job is not to lift up the lid and see how the tablet's doing. That's not his job. So it's about the faith that's being made here, which I'm going to focus on in a little bit in a moment. So, and what's interesting, when we get through the whole thing, just in case I omit speaking on it, is that well, I'll get to it hopefully in the 40th chapter. But one of the things said, Moses blessed them. What did Moses bless them with? How did Moses bless them? We know it's not the priestly blessing, because we read later on, Aaron was told how he should bless the people, the children of Israel. And then God said, I will put my name on them and they will be blessed. You know, the 3, 5, 7 word blessing. So we find later on, you know, that we're given a formula for the Kohen, how he should bless them. But yet we read Aaron blessed them before, and we read before the blessing was enumerated how he should bless them. You read Moses blessed the people, you know. So, and you know, so a lot of, you know, extrapolate, you know, that the blessing would have been, you know, may God, you know, I mean, bless the work of your hands, because they put their hands to work in that. And they normally take it from the 90th Psalm, you know, 17th verse, or various other portions of Psalms written by Moses and everything like that. So, and you know, and other areas in the book itself. So this is one of the things that Moses blessed them for what they did, but we don't read exactly here what blessing did he, you know, did he say, you know, in that area, you know, concerning that particular area. Now we know at the end, he's talking about God make you 1,000 times more greater and everything like that. You know, we know about certain blessings that Moses did and blessed us with. We could read that. And but in this portion here, and one of our greatest enterprise, where as a national development, where everybody work as one and unity as a community, you know, that is the blessing there. We don't know, you know, exactly here, not stated. And then goes into the 40th chapter. And it says, and the Lord spoke unto Moses, saying, on the first day of the first month shalt thou rear up the tabernacle of the tent of meeting, and thou shalt put there in the ark of the testimony, and thou shalt screen the ark with the veil, and thou shalt bring in the table and set in order the bread that is pointed, and thou shalt bring in the candlesticks and the lights and the lamps thereof. And thou shalt set the golden altar for incense before the ark of the testimony, and put the screen of the door of the tabernacle. Put the screen of the door to the tabernacle, and thou shalt set the altar of burnt offering before the door of the tabernacle of the tent of meeting. And thou shalt set the lava between the tent of meeting and altar, and thou shalt put water therein. And thou shalt set up the court round about, and shall hang up the screen of the gates of the court. And thou shalt take the anointing oil and anoint the tabernacle, and all that is therein, and shall hallow it, and all the furniture thereof, and it shall be holy. That means they produce the products, but it's not sanctified yet. We got, just want to bring your attention to that. Though the product is finished, as holy as the ark is going to become, it's not there yet. Though we got the tablets with God's name, God's handwriting on it, and brought up, with the finger of God, it's not there yet. These are some things to consider as we go forward. And thou shalt anoint the altar, a burnt offering, and all its vessels, and sanctify the altar, and the altar shall be most holy. And thou shalt anoint the laver and its base, and sanctify it. And thou shalt bring Aaron and his sons unto the door of the tent of meeting, and shalt wash them with water. And thou shalt put upon Aaron the holy garments, and thou shalt anoint him and sanctify him, that he may minister unto me in the priest's office. And thou shalt bring his son and his tunics upon them, and put tunics upon them, and thou shalt anoint them, as thou didst anoint their father, that they may minister unto me in the priest's office, and their anointing shall be to them for everlasting priesthood throughout their generations. Thus did Moses according to all that the Lord commanded him, so did he. Now, important information as we go forward, and I want you to bear this in mind as we go forward. And it came to pass in the first month, in the second year, and the first day of the month, that the tabernacle was reared up. And Moses reared up the tabernacle and laid its sockets, and set up the boards there, and put in the bars thereof, and reared up its pillars. And he spread the tent over the tabernacle, and put the coverings of the tent above upon it, as the Lord has commanded Moses. Now, what I want to bring here is historical data, because a lot of times we read this and, and then we come up to places like the Sidra Shimini. The process of Aharon and his son's consecration. And also when the tabernacle is actually ready and incarnated. So most people, the majority of people, think that when we read on Rosh Chodesh that tabernacle was erected, that Moses didn't try to put it together prior to that. We know most people, and I had this discussion many times before, and so I know around a lot of Israelite communities, not necessarily around quote unquote Jewish communities, but when they think about the tabernacle, we know the exact date is erected, and we know it's the second year after come out of Egypt. But what we find out is a lot of information that's given here. One, in Shimini, we know Aharon and them had to go to a 7-day consecration. On the 8th day, it was all right. So before Aharon could operate, he had to be able, and be consecrated. I'm just sharing this now because it's going to come up later on, and I probably have to go back over this stuff and again. So if Aaron, the tabernacle was up and consecrated on the first day, functioning, the month of Abib, on the first day of Rosh Chodesh, and it's set up, which is basically the day I'm talking is the Rosh Chodesh now, the month of Abib, but you won't see it till later on in the week. Is that when you look at that, that area there, then you got to say, okay, 8 days later, on the 8th day, Aaron could actually work and operate. But then you got 7 tribes that couldn't bring their dedication on the days that they're supposed to, because we know that the 12 tribes had finished bringing the dedication to the tabernacle, because each one was assigned a day. And if each one was assigned a day, I'm just bringing this out now because just in case it come up later on. I just want you to think about it going forward. If each tribe was assigned a day, then Yehudah, the tribes in the south, basically, they would have missed, they would have been bringing their offering without a Kohen. That's official. That's official. They would have had to bring it through Moshe. Because now, because we read that they had to be consecrated. So the consecration, when I'm bringing out, is the consecration of Aharon then was completed on Rosh Chodesh. So that means that they had to have the tabernacle assembled just for the process of them going through their consecration before it's actually functioning at full scale, with the priesthood in place. Because they took a 7-day process, and on the 8th day it was completed. I just want to bring that out right now because, just to highlight some things while I'm going on in a little time I got left. So what we find also is that a bit of information that I'm sharing is that it's exactly 9 months when we approach Sinai, when we got ready for the revelation. 9 months from the time of give or take a day from Mount Torah that the tabernacle was erected. When you think about it, it says it take that long for a baby to be born. On average, 9 months. What symbolic message could we get from that? The nations actually starting to become reborn strong at that particular time. Just something to consider going forward, because we're talking 9 months from the 3rd month until we already into a whole nother year, the 2nd year of a 1st month. So we're talking about 9 months. And it didn't take them 9 months to get to make it. All right. So if we're talking about basically a day from after Yom Kippur, when we start to build booths, naturally build that as well. A major, institution for all times. All right. So as we go forward, it says, so all the stuff is brought there and it was set up. I want to skip all the way down to the 33rd verse. And it said in the same chapter, 33rd verse, in the same chapter, and he reared up the courts around about the tabernacle and the altar and to set up the screen of the gates of the court. So Moses finished the work. When the cloud covered the tent of meeting and the glory of the Lord filled the tabernacle, and Moses was not able to enter into the tent of the meeting because the cloud abode there, and the glory of the Lord filled the tabernacle. And whenever the cloud was taken up from over the tabernacle, the children of Israel went onward throughout all their journeys. But if the cloud was not taken up, then they journeyed not till the day that it was taken up. For the cloud of the Lord was upon the tabernacle by day, and there was fire therein by night, in the sight of all the house of Israel throughout all their journeys. Now, I just want to bring out a few things here and then share some information before I conclude. One of the things is that when we look at the tabernacle itself and the creation, everything that's said about the creation, finish, bless, good, all that was mentioned in this particular portion, of Pekudei concerning the Mishkan. All about 7 different terms that's used in reference to creation. Also, what we find here is that the cloud, then we have a cloud already. We encountered a cloud when Pharaoh was chasing us. We was traveling already by a cloud. So now, if we travel by a cloud, is that an advantage or disadvantage? One thing we know is that we're going where God wants us to go. That's what we know when we travel. Whether we day or night, we going where God wants us to go. How long we're going to stay, we don't know. How long this journey going to be between this point when the cloud get up and move and when it stops, and is it where I want to be? Yeah, I'm in the presence of God. So these are some things to think as we go forward. And also, the thing is, how long is the trip going to take? Is it going to take an hour? Is it going to take 5 hours? All right. How far is the journey? You know, so these are some of the things thinking, you know, you can discuss them amongst each other, you know, because we're going to follow the cloud. And at nighttime, man, you mean tell me I'm cutting into my sleep? I got to break camp now. I mean, I got to pack. I got to stay constantly packed, constantly ready to move. Is that comfortable or not? These are some things that show you about faith, you know, and as you know, as we go forward, you know, and talk about faith, it's some things also when you find out that when it uses the certain words, you know, I mean, like, you know, YAH, Moshe, that means, and they did it according to the command of Moses, you know, did the work according to Moses. That's mentioned, you know, in here, in the actual book, for 18 times. 18 times is mentioned in reference to that. And since it's mentioned in the book about 18 times, in this particular sigil of Pekudei, in the ninth, you know, we got in the Amidah. The Amidah prayer got like 18 blessings, and they added 19th one. The 19th one they extrapolate from a guy called Moshe. Excuse me a moment. I got to make a move. One moment. Hold on. Okay. Sorry for that small, brief intermission, but I had to make a move for a minute. When we think about, you know, the distance we're traveling and everything like that, about 18 blessings, that's what I'm speaking on. The Amidah itself has 18 blessings in the Amidah that we say a certain prayer. And they extrapolate that we should say 100 blessings a day from the talents of silver, 100 talents of silver. So they, you know, a guy named Baal Turam, who lives around 1200, I think born around 1240, 1269, and died around about 1340 or 43. And he wrote a lot of comments on scriptures and everything like that, and noticed those little different things. They call him the HaTorah. And it precedes the CHOKMAH rule, as far as, you know, different discussions on scriptures and law. So the sages come up with the Amidah. The Amidah originally had 18 blessings. 18 blessings, then they added a 19th one. And that's coming from when Moses is mentioned about, you know, they did the work according to Moses 18 times within the sigil of Pekudei. And also the 19th one, basically, you know, there's, you know, God, blessed them in the sense of the work. So when we think about the blessings, he would say, according to the sockets, you know, which is 100 talents of silver, silver, that the sock itself actually support. And one of the things is that you support everything. So we focus on the blessings of the work, your works of hands and your work in your hands and blessings every day. So they say, well, you try to say 100 blessings a day. Now people say 100 blessings. That's kind of a lot. But we figure the Amida got 18. And then you figure, with the extra one that's added 19, and if you do that 3 times a day on a regular day, and then you add the Pekudei, the Zemara, those and certain Shakari prayers, it's easy to get to 100 blessings a day, and when I say about the 18, when we think about that as the words itself, the words that's used for the blessings when they say the Baruch Atah and everything like that on the Amidah, when you look at that, it adds up to 113. 113. These words, like I said, Baruch Atah and so you add all those blessings up, counting the words and stuff like that. You get about 113 words, just that part of the Amidah. So what's interesting enough is that the word lave heart, is mentioned 113 times, within in that particular CHOKMAH. All right, 113 times. So the thing is that a blessing should come from the heart. And what we did when we built the tabernacle, it came from the heart. You notice one of the things it says, God told Moses to take from me. And then Moses later on in the particular Sitra, in YHL, and the Torah in YHL, said it caused the people to take from themselves. So they said, well, if you told to take from me, and yet I'm bringing it, why reword it take from myself? That means that I don't, when it comes to a service for the Creator, supporting the service of the Creator, you don't wait until say, okay, I got my breakthrough. Now I can support financially or whatever the case is in that area. No, you do it before you get the breakthrough. You don't wait for the breakthrough to do that. So that's why sometimes, and when you look at it in the Hebrew, I went kind of fast. I meant to focus on that point as well. That the word is that they take from themselves. That means that you actually dig in and take it from you, regardless of, your circumstances and, about I didn't get that breakthrough, because it's for a laudable purpose. So, so when we think about the Amidah, we say them prayers like that, then the blessings and try to get 100 blessings and everything. We get a lot, from this particular portion, other than just an audit. It's a lot of subliminal message that's, enumerated within this particular portion, and a lot of questions that will come up. So, I hope you guys something out what I said. Any mistakes by my own, and I would say kazak, manikwase, be strong, and let's make each one another strong, because we just concluded the book of Pekudei. But what's going to be interesting when we go into the book of Wayikra, and I'm just a heads up, is that now we got the Mishkan, but we're not told how to work it. So that's what we do when we go into Wayikra. You're gonna say, well, all right, I got an altar for sacrifice, but they didn't tell me how I do it. And I didn't know there were so many different types of sacrifices to be offered up. So when we get into Wayikra, we're gonna say, okay, now I got a building, but how to operate the building. We got the workers, we got the furnitures, and then another interesting thing is that we're told to bring in, set up the furnitures first before we set up the building in its particular portion. Normally you set up the building and then bring in the furnitures. Just like in the beginning we was told to make the furniture first. Here at this particular portion, we're told to actually, set up the furniture and then bring the building around it. So, I mean, when we read carefully, so it's a lot of gems within the Sidra, Pekudei and YHL, and they're usually read together, but, sometimes read different. So, we learned a lot from that, and I hope I was able to share some insights and give you some viewpoints. And you always discuss it with your teacher and any mistakes from my own. And enjoy the beginning of this season here. And hopefully, don't wait till the last minute to get rid of the comments. You know what I mean? Do what you got to do. Try to work on it now. Budget yourself. With that, I say Shalom Aleichem, early Shabbat Shalom.
Hallelujah. Torah about Nasik. Quick question, Nasik.
Yes.
In terms of the Mishkan building it, we see that Moshe is initially the person who builds it, puts it up, rears it up, as it indicates, and knowing that a lot of these things, a lot of these articles and all of these things, no normal man was able to go into the tent of meeting. But Moshe, I don't recall that he ever was anointed. Why was he able to go into the Mishkan, into the tent of meeting?
Okay, that's what I'm saying about order and chronological order of scriptures. It's so important, because now when the cloud entered and Moses couldn't enter, in there, and which is strange, because he was able to go into the thick darkness where God was at Mount Torah, at Mount Sinai. Now, you mean tell me in a spot like this here, I can't go in there because God entered there and we was going to meet God there? So the thing is that once it became, sanctified with the creative presence. But before that, it's not holy, because I brought out, I don't know if you was, able to hear that everybody got a chance to see the ark. Everybody. Because it's sitting out there.
Right.
You know what I mean? You got to audit. So I got to have all the stuff here to show you just where this went. So you see everything. Curtains, this is curtains, just a stack of curtains over here, just a stack of timber over here, just a stack of sockets. These are all the hooks over here. So you can see all that. So Moses was able to do that. And plus, he was commissioned by God, so God endowed him. But once Aharon and them had finished their process, you don't read where Moses actually went inside there again like that. Only when, he was doing the process, officiating in the capacity. And then, which is we're going to find later on. That's why I say chronological order is very important. And when we look at scriptures, because some things don't be written in chronological order, the fire consumed the sacrifice only when Aharon was completed, and did what he had to do.
Hallelujah. Torah about Nasik. Thank you for your wisdom, and may the Most High God bless you. May the Most High God bless each and every one of you. Don't forget to share, like, and subscribe, and hit the notification bell so that anytime we have a new video, you'll be notified. Stay tuned for our Unity Shabbat commercial. May the Most High God bless you. Shalom, shalom.
Amen. Shalom.
Shalom, family. Mark your calendars for an extraordinary day of unity and spiritual elevation. Congregation Beit D.C.B invites you to the annual Unity Shabbat Kum on Saturday, May 24th, 2025. Where? At Shelf Lofts, Brooklyn. 120 Hamilton Avenue, Brooklyn, New York, 11231. This day is dedicated to praising and glorifying the Most High Yah, bringing together congregations, guests, and truth seekers in a celebration of unity, love, peace, and harmony. Join us for heartfelt prayers, inspiring teachings, and uplifting music that will resonate with your soul. Be part of this transformative experience that strengthens our community bonds and deepens our spiritual connections. For more information and to reserve your spot, call us at 347-622-9090 or email us at info@beitdcb.org. Let's come together in faith and fellowship at the Unity Shabbat Kum. You won't want to miss it. Shalom.
Let's get knowledge, wisdom, understanding. We'll do our standing. All praises to the Most High, His laws and commandments. The CHOKMAH here to push it through your speakers. Judgment, truth, and love should be coming from the leaders. Yeah, knowledge, wisdom, understanding. We'll do our standing. All praises to the Most High, His laws and commandments. The CHOKMAH here to push it through your speakers. Judgment, truth, and love should be coming from the leaders. Yeah.